Alright, back again, Luke here. And as you can see in front of you, we have another one of those PCBs from the lot I received here from Ken6275, and this is the beast. I don't know if there's anything else we can call it but that. This is our Geo MVS 6-slot board here. And it is a little bit dusty, but it doesn't seem to look too bad here. Apparently this one is also broken, so we'll have to go ahead and see what's up with it, but a little bit of a visual inspection around the board. It doesn't look like there's anything too bad. Oh, it looks like maybe there's a few scratches down here in the corner, but I mean, that's to be expected. It's kind of, see if we can get this up here and show you. A couple scratches down here. It doesn't seem to be going through any traces or anything like that, just kind of surface scratches. And the other side here, just kind of do a little bit of a flip around, take a look at it. This one as well, just a few scratches down at the bottom. But not sure exactly what's wrong with this one. Nevertheless, we have to try and see if we can get it to work, because it's a bit of a rarity now. So I suppose the first things first, we'll try and pop this top off here, see what we got underneath. All the screws are out of it. So let's see what we got here. Make sure the bottom part is okay. It seems to come off pretty decently. And what do we got here? I mean, for the most part, it looks really good. Like I said, there's just a little bit of dust here and there, but it doesn't look like anything's really been touched at all. This looks like it's in really good physical overall condition. It does have this battery in there, though. That's one thing that I think will... Ooh, I don't know what... Yep, okay, that's not good. That's the acid leaking there from the battery, so I think we're going to have to chop that out and pull it up. But... yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say exactly what's going on with it. I mean, for the most part, it looks pretty... Oh, there we go. Well, there's probably the first problem. These two areas here are normally unpopulated. There's nothing in there. But this is the BIOS, and it's missing. So, that might be our first real big issue. I don't know if I have a BIOS for MVS. I'll have to go and see. Maybe I have something in the parts section, but... okay, well, we found our first issue here, and I'll have to try and see if I can find a BIOS, and we'll go ahead and slap that in and check some of that. We'll also check the edge connector here, see if there's any bridged points here between the positive and negative, just so we don't fry out anything else. And, yeah. Well, I suppose I'm going to go and see if I can hunt one of those down. If not, I'll have to make one. Up here, too, maybe? Oh, okay. Yeah, if you look up here, this is where the slots or the controller ports go. And it looks like somebody has removed those controller ports here. A couple of these look like some ripped traces. I think we might be able to patch those. If they're not too bad, but it does look like there's a couple missing ones up there. Alright, so something else that seems to be missing here. But nevertheless, let's go ahead and see if we can find a BIOS, and then we'll try this thing out and see if it works. Okay, so I came across actually a couple of BIOS chips here, as from I must have had over the years, as well as my Neo Diag BIOS that I haven't used in a long time. I'm not sure if that even works, but maybe something to test out if this isn't working when we put it back together. But this should be enough to even test and see what the board is doing. So without the top part being on there, I don't think it needs to be on there, if I remember correctly. We'll go ahead and fire this thing up and see what we got. Okay, straight up, we got a work RAM error. Interesting. Yep, work RAM error. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think some of the RAM that's located over here may be related to the work RAM. And I don't know which ones they are. Might have to just check and probe around and see what's going on with it. Actually, since we have the other BIOS here, let's get this one up. And Let's see if our diag BIOS pops up anything. Maybe it's just something that we can't see. It's going to be a little bit tricky too. I don't think the pins on this are... Oh, well, maybe they are. Maybe okay. Let's see what that does. Okay. It's not good at all. Doing the old watchdog pattern here, which means obviously it's not getting any, the memory that it's using for the work RAM is not working. So therefore it won't even pop up anything to show any other errors. So I suppose the first thing we should do is find out which RAM is related to the work RAM area and kind of go from there. Actually, you know what? Because this thing is leaking too, sometimes the traces underneath these can cause that to happen, if I remember correctly. So I think what we'll do is we'll try and snip this out. I don't know if we can do this one-handed here, but let's see if we can get this come out. Oh, I can see some green stuff underneath. I'm gonna have to, we'll do this properly later, but just to get an idea. These batteries are not necessary, and in fact, it's a good thing to remove them. Oh, geez, yeah, look at that. Okay, we do have some corrosion down there. I don't know how far it has reached, but it is definitely around this area. If it goes down any of those vias, it could cause an issue with communication lines, data lines. So, okay, I think I'm going to have to go and check this out a little bit more, see what we can find, see if there's anything around under this silicone. But, we've got our first main problem kind of taken care of. And after this, we'll go ahead and see if there's anything eaten around this area. And if not, we'll have to focus our attention on some of these RAM chips over here. But let's try and check this. So with a little bit of some cleaning here, I was able to remove most of the corrosion that was on there and a lot of the silicone that was around the edge there. This is the Q-tip. It's a bit green around the edges here, but that's definitely going to help out a lot as far as the performance of this goes if we get it going again. And while we're here, you know what? I thought about it. There is a 470 ohm resistor. This is used for charging. It's responsible for charging the battery. And now that we have the battery gone here, we shouldn't need this anymore. So just pop that off there. That should make it easier if we decide to do a battery mod for this. It'll just pop right in there. We'll be able to use that without having to worry about it being charged, because the non-chargeable batteries being recharged can cause a bit of a problem here with the hardware. So, but now that we've removed that, let's see if we get anything different. I don't know if the error is going to change or not, but it's worth a shot. No, it's still work RAM error. Okay, so I think I'm going to have to... I remember somebody saying something a while back, or maybe I remember this a while back. I think if you press down all of the dip switches, you can get it to... No, it's not going to work. Maybe that only works with the backup RAM. Let's see. Well, the reset button works here, but yeah, I guess that doesn't work with the work RAM. So let me see if I can find out which one of these is the work RAM. I'm sure somebody has to have figured that out before. What is going on with this now? Okay, that's interesting. A bit of a kind of weird image there. Okay, yeah, no, it's still the same. But yeah, I'm sure somebody else has had some difficulties with this before, so we'll go ahead and see what we can find. Maybe we can come across a post with some, work RAM related problems. We'll see if we can go from there. Doing a little bit of research online, it looks like someone has also had a similar problem with this board. And since there's no need to basically reinvent the wheel, figured we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at what's going on with it. Apparently, these two RAM chips here in the middle are the ones responsible for the work RAM. And just going over some of the data lines here, I can find that there's a couple of these that are high, but for the most part, most of them are pulsing. Well, that one's low. Actually, no, that one's low too. That's low as well. Okay, well maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's this one. This one has absolutely nothing going on here. How about the top ones? Yeah, we've definitely got some action here at this top one. Well, there's a couple of them. That one's kind of low. That one's pulsing. But this one, on the other hand, this one seems to be is dead. Well, it's kind of pulsing. So I guess we'll go ahead on that and we'll see if we can change that out and go from there. Alright, so let's go ahead and try and remove this first Sony RAM here using our hot air gun. While this is still hot here, go ahead and use some solder and solder wick to remove the excess solder on here. This one probably got too much on this. Let's make the pads nice and clean here for when we go ahead and put the new RAM down. So apparently this RAM chip here and the one above it, well, there's sets of two, are the ones responsible for the work RAM. So we'll go ahead and try and find a replacement chip for that and see how that goes. I'll go search around here and I'll see you in a bit. And here you can see our two new RAM chips. Now, the reason why there's two of these in here is because normally with the RAM chips, it's better to have them or replace them in pairs if possible. Since I had two of the same kinds of RAM, I figured I'd put them both in there instead of just swapping out one. That way we can see at least if something different is going to happen or not. But I still haven't turned the power on, so I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen. Let's pop this on and check some of that. Okay, well, we're getting static now. It's like the work RAM issue is gone. But the top part's also not connected, so let's see, maybe if we remove, let's remove this one here, we'll go ahead and try our, let's see. Zoom in on that if that works. Come on, let's stay focused. There we go. Let's remove this one and go back to our BIOS. Let's see here, diag BIOS. See if we can get anything different on here this time. I didn't really have any place to put the old camera, so I'm kind of struggling with just the one hand here. Alright, that's in. Let's hope for the best. I think that's in. Okay, so still not getting anything. It's very similar. Which could mean, I mean, this RAM could be iffy as well. Let's see if we pop the top on. Oh, another thing too is this usually has a jumper wire that goes to the top, and I just noticed that that's not on here. So we might have to get a jumper wire for that, or make a jumper wire for that. Let's see is such a monster. It's like not easy to put anywhere. Come on. Wrap this one down. I don't even know that BIOS too. That could be a problem. Well, there's so many different things. I think I might have to double check on this board before we go too much further. All right. Well, we got the top part on. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Oh, geez. Work RAM. Okay, we got output upper. The upper work RAM is not working now. Okay. So I'll have to check which one is the upper one, which one is the lower one. I do have these other two here, the ones that I took off, so maybe I'll just take one off and then put it back on. We'll try that. I'm going to try that. I'll see it a bit. So once again, I had to replace these two RAM chips here because the other ones apparently seem to be fake. I don't know what's going on with them, but when I turned the power on a couple of times, they're throwing up all kinds of errors. So I think these ones are actually fakes. Not exactly, yeah, when you look at it, it looks like they're not real anyway. But these ones, when I put those on there and I turn the power on here, it says that all tests are passed, but it did take 2 or 3 times for this to actually go through and start up. So I don't know if it's going to be reliable or not. Well, it says it's all test passed here, so I suppose the only other thing we have to do is put the BIOS in and then put the top on and see what happens with that. But so far it's looking pretty promising with those 2 RAM chips. Just for one more time for good measure, let's see if it continues to do it or not. Yep, looks like it's okay now. So I'll go ahead and put in the BIOS and then maybe put in a game and we'll see if anything changes. But I think I need to make a wire for that. I think it has to have extra power going to the top. But we'll try this here and see what we got. As you can see here, I've made a cable that connects the top part to the bottom part, and I've got this top piece kind of set back down here. Figured we could toss in a game and see what it does. Let's pop on the old power and check some of that. Oh, there we go. Got our boot sequence. And we got some problems going on here. I don't even know if you can hear this. It's kind of alive. Oh, wow. Yeah, but it's missing sound effects. And it's missing graphics here pretty bad. I don't know if... It makes me wonder if I switch this around, try a different slot. Maybe slot 4. Nope, slot 4 is doing the same thing. So we've got an issue here, which might be top board related. Unfortunately, as you can see, each slot here seems to be doing the same thing. So, and with the sounds, those are not working out either. So I'm not sure exactly what this could be because it's a 2-layer board and it's such a beast. I remember having something similar to this, like the graphics being bad on one of my old 6-slot boards, and I think it was one of the, like, what is it? Maybe 2774 LS 274s or something like that. I remember it being maybe something around here that was causing it. I can't really get up underneath here to check to see what's going on, but yeah, we're gonna have to do something with that because that's not gonna cut it. I wonder if it does it with a different game. Actually, let's take this out. Let's try a different one. Let's see, how about Super Dodgeball? I didn't check to see if that was clean or not, but it should. Oh, whoops, that's not going to be the right way. The good thing about Neo Geo games is that they did make them, like if you flipped them around, it wouldn't burn out the boards because they put the grounds on the ends and they put the 5 volts in the middle. It's a really smart idea. Does this do anything different? Nope. Oh, you know what? That sounds like it's in stereo mode. Now that I think about it, let's see. Let me see if I can flip down the dip switch. Which one is it? Not that one. Let's pause. 7? But I think it might be actually in stereo. That might be the reason why the sounds are all off. Yeah, okay. So I'm going to try and flip this thing over. I think maybe it needs to go into mono. I'll be back. Alright, you know what I just remembered here? I'm such a fool. Is that, Geo doesn't have the same pinouts for sound as Jamma. I don't know how I could forget that, but it's been so long since I've had a 6-slot board here. Normally the 1-slots are easy enough. You can just kind of pop them in. They're Jamma. These ones aren't. You've got to switch around the wires for the sound. So that's the sound issue. As far as the video issue goes, that's something totally different. So we know where the sound problem is, but in order to run this for any extended period of time, it may be better to make a switch here for the sound so that I don't want to frying the amplifier. But yeah, that's the problem with that. The other ones here, that's something different, and I think it's got to be at the top end. I'll go over this and check to see if there are any more cracks or any scratches on here that may go through a couple of traces, but yeah, something is definitely not making a good connection. But that's where we're at with this. Well, I think I found our culprit. As you can see here on the bottom of the board, this must have been from the leaky battery, but this section here is all eaten away. So what we're going to have to do is, yeah, definitely remove the corrosion here, and it might even be a good idea to remove the ICs and then take a look at them from the top. This actually also might be a cut. I'm not sure up here. That looks pretty iffy there, but this is definitely a main issue. So that's going to be our graphics problem right there, 100% guaranteed. So we're going to try and clean this up and see what we can do about possibly removing those ICs from the top. I don't think they're bad, but just to get the corrosion around them, we might have to do that. So let's get on that and see what we can do. As you can see here, what I've done is clean this up quite a bit, and what I did is I used a wire brush to try and go over that and kind of scrubbing it side by side or side to side here and back and forth to try and get rid of all of the corrosion that was around there. And you can now see a little bit better as to where the traces are eaten away. There's a couple of them that are along this first top IC here that go upwards. There's one that looks a little bit iffy here that runs down underneath this connector. Actually, if it comes here, that might not be too bad because there are a couple of vias there. You might be able to patch that up here. But this one also did have a cut through it. It's probably not going to show up very well. I don't know how good or how bad these traces still are. We might have to go back over them and see what we can do. But they look like they're holding up. This is the big area right here. So time to try and fix those traces up and go from there. So about 15 patch wires here later, this is where we're at. These were the ones that were all eaten away, and fortunately I didn't really have to remove the other ICs here, and these pins are still connected, so that's not a problem. But I had to patch 15 of these wires, and I had to patch one from the top because the legs on the bottom of one of these ICs were completely eaten away, and I wasn't able to connect those. So on the top here, maybe I can show you. It's a pretty simple one, but over here in the corner, just had to patch this one. So I got 2 legs here connected and tied to ground, I believe, or maybe that's plus 5 volts. So that's where we're at. I think for now everything else is ready to go, so we'll have to put this back together and see what happens. But we'll get on that and see what happens. As you can see here, we've got the top board pushed back onto the bottom board, and if we turn the old power on, oops, I think we need to actually turn the power on. Let's try this again. Let's turn the old power on here. We get our normal boot screen and our blue screen because we have nothing in the slots, and we grab one of our games, same one here, go with Z Blade. Pop that in and check some of that. Let's see. And there we go. Now the sound is still going to be off because I haven't messed around with the sound area yet. But we've got full graphics back now that everything's back to normal. I think we can call this one another fixed game. We're going to have to, like I said, try and figure out the sound thing. I don't know if I want to create an adapter or something, but everything looks okay. Like I said, the sounds are going to be off. We'll have to try and see about fixing that again. But yeah, another board here, back up and saved from the grave. But might have to try and do. I think there's a couple other things this needs. Actually, now that I think about it, I have to take this one off. Maybe check the bottom. I just remembered that this actually has the what is it? Controller ports missing, so we'll have to add those in. But yeah, over here in the side we'll have to get those in as well. But for the most part, you can see it is working, and with those patch wires that we put in there, it should be good to go for a little bit longer. We're going to have to do this a little bit better over here, try and clean that up. But we'll go ahead and maybe patch those missing wires over here, because you can see there's a couple of traces that are eaten away. One of them is completely pulled up, and I can't remember which one it is. It's that one right there. You can see right through the middle here. That one is completely missing. So we'll have to patch that, see if we can find a couple of controller adapters that we could put in there. But it's coming together. It's almost there. So we'll get on that one and hopefully be able to put this back together and get it ready running. And while I was going through my parts bin, I managed to come across two of these DB15 connectors, and they are on a 90-degree angle. This elbow angle should fit perfectly in here once we get all of the pins lined up there and everything wired up again. That should work out just fantastic. So something we'll have to do here, like I said, there are at least two traces that are completely missing from this part. This is one where you can visibly see that the whole trace goes all the way under here, and I'm not sure exactly where it stops, but it connects somewhere in here, so we'll see what we can do about that one. And then we have another one here. This opening there isn't looking super promising. Looks like we might actually have to, might be able to get away with that, but that's a little bit iffy. On the other side here, we've got maybe a couple of oxidized ones. This one doesn't look too bad. This one actually has more potential. But luckily these were kind of cleanly removed, so when we go to put in the new ones, they should just pop right in. Yeah. Oh yeah, this one's almost gone in, like so. But that's where we'll have to get this thing maybe lined up like that and get that in there. It's not the original, but it'll work just the same. So next steps there. Okay, so after removing this fuse here, this bridge, you can see this is where our trace went for this pin. So what I'm going to do is just place a wire underneath there, and I'll put our fuse or bridge back in here, and that should fix it. We'll have the other end out here. This one looks like it will probably work out all right. I don't think we'll have to do any extra bodge wire work with that. It's just this one here. So that's the next step, is to try and get that one patched in. So here's what we have with our two ports in. Those are both soldered in, and I had checked the continuity between that kind of iffy pin and the connecting point on here, and it's still working. It works out great. So the only thing we have left to do is just pop this guy in and solder up some of that. I think I'm going to have to do this one off camera, because this is, yeah, it's a bit difficult to mess around with here. Yeah, I'm going to have to do this one off camera. But you can see this will go flat down here once we get it all in place. And then we'll just get that done, and this thing should be ready to rock. Well, here we have it. I've got the cover put back on. I've done a couple little modifications to it. This is just a simple coin-in wire. If I don't have my Jamma harness hooked up, or if I don't have a super gun connected to it, if I just want to apply power, I can use this as just a coin-in. Because in the back here, we can actually use the Neo Geo AES controller. It has 2 controller ports, and those are fully connected and working. And here's our controller here. But we've got 6 games in total, and I figured we could pop this on and check some of that. So without further ado, let's give it a shot. Alright, there's our first one. Let's pop in a coin here. And then using the select button on the controller is actually select. So there's slot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have all 6 games here working as they should. And if we just hit the old start button on the controller, we can jump into the game. But a few dozen, I don't know, bodge wires and couple of RAM chips, a couple of controller ports, things like that. This thing is back up and running again with everything functioning the way it should. But nevertheless, just wanted to share with you guys a little bit of a look at this, well, maybe a longer look at this Neo Geo 6-slot repair. And yeah, it's a fantastic looking machine here. I think we're going to have a lot of fun with this for at least a few years to come. But nevertheless, that's about all for me for right now. Like always, I'll put up another video here soon. So thanks for watching. Watching some Neo Geo repair. This is going to be pretty ridiculous to play, but yeah. We're ready to rock here. Thanks again for watching.